All right, what's going on, guys? So, as many of you know, the fourth Conjur finally came out. It is the Phantom Guardian. So, I figured I would make a quick video that kind of explains what it does as well as what I think about it. So, what it does is whenever it is summoned, it will not attack. It will store the number of hits that you take while it is out, up to a cap of 25. Then you can expend those hits in order to deal damage. Now, that damage is AoE, which is very good if you're doing Slayer, and because it's based on the number of hits, it's going to be very good at any bosses where you get hit a lot. So that's going to be places like Arglacior, it's good because every time he summons minions, you know, you're getting hit a bunch from the minions. It's going to be good at places like Zuk because minions usually stack on top of each other or they get stuck on each other. So the AoE is going to be really important there. And obviously it's going to be very good for Slayer, namely like Moss Golems, the Venomous Dinosaurs, places like that where you're doing AFK, AoE Slayer. Those will be the places where it's best because you can get a lot of uptime on the active and that's going to be really nice. Now, I'm not using the active as much here because I'm mostly just AFK. I'm mostly just talking to you guys. But this would be a place where you can use the active like every 20 seconds or so, and it's just a free 7,000 AoE. Normally, the Abyssal Lords aren't on top of each other, so that's not ultra important here, but sometimes they are, and that's going to be really good. Now, keeping all of that in mind, I like the new Conjure. I don't really have any issues with it. A lot of people don't like that it doesn't do anything or that it's like ultra defensive, and I think that's kind of fair, but something to keep in mind is that this was probably supposed to release with the initial batch, and then for whatever reason it didn't, probably because it was just another balance lever that's hard to keep track of, which, you know, that's fair. I think keeping that in mind, it makes it really hard for me to be like super upset about the Conjure as it is, because the reality is that it doesn't cost anything to use. Like, we're not giving anything up for it. Obviously, we're paying the ectoplasm cost, but if you're not an iron, that's not a real cost, in my opinion. Like, ectoplasm is expensive. It's not that expensive that you're like, oh, I need to be very particular about which conjures I'm summoning. I don't think that's a real consideration for the vast majority of players. Again, especially if you're not an Iron Man. If you are an Iron Man, I can totally see that being a real concern because you have to get all of your own ectoplasm. But if you're not an Iron, I don't think that matters at all. So that's kind of where I'm at there. I don't really understand why so many people don't like the new Conjure. Additionally, if you are an Iron, or just if you don't have 106 Necro, there are a lot of bosses that aren't poisonable. And if it's not poisonable, then Putrid Zombie is going to feel really bad because it just doesn't do anything really. Like, the damage is a very, very minor if the boss isn't poisonable, right? So being able to switch out your Putrid Zombie for this for just a little bit more damage reduction is really, really nice, you know? And then again, there's also a lot of places where you do slowly bleed out HP over the course of, you know, an entire Slayer task or over the course of an AFK boss fight. And using this makes that a lot less likely. Like, you can see here that Abyssal Lords, I think I talked about it in my last video, where Abyssal Lords is a place where you do bleed HP quite a bit. But you can see here, I haven't really had to use Devotion all that much. Now, I did use it before I started the recording twice, but we've just been chilling here. I've just been talking to you guys and, you know, nothing's really, I haven't had to use it. Now, I'm sure now that I've said that, I'm going to get blasted. I'm going to have to use it. But I think this kind of goes to show how just 5% damage reduction may not feel like that much, but it can be pretty meaningful if you're taking a lot of instances of damage and if your sustain is like balanced around this fine tuning. Another place where this will matter quite a bit is Moss Golems. I don't know if people use Net Necromancy to kill Moss Golems, but if that's a thing that you do, this 5% damage reduction is probably really meaningful. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this. This is going to be relatively short, but I just It's good. It's free. You don't have to do anything to unlock it if you already have all the other stuff. Like if you already have Split Soul, you can unlock this, which I'm assuming a lot of you either have Split Soul or you're working on it because of how important it is for DPS rotations. But yeah, this is like free to unlock, and it doesn't really cost anything to use. And there are places where it's just better than Putrid Zombie because Putrid Zombie just doesn't do anything. It's really hard to feel bad about this. Is it kind of boring? Sure. I think that's totally fair. But like, it's a defense familiar, right? Crypt Bloom is boring. It's just less damage, Smile. That's literally all it does. It's a lot less damage, more than this is, obviously. Defensive stuff in general is going to be really boring. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. Thanks, guys, for watching. If you like the video, feel free to give it a like. If you like the content on the channel, feel free to subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next one.